Hey Lugia, I'm gonna give you this podcast. This is a podcast made by your father. Do you know what your father went through to make this podcast? He took this podcast and stuck it on YouTube for 12 episodes. No, wait, nah, fuck, that's not how it went. Yeah, whatever. That was a good enough intro. Welcome to It's Always Sunny in Hollywood. I'm your host, Red, and we have two other hosts who are gonna say their names now.
Hi, I'm Lugia, and that's my name.
Hi, my name is Patrick, and that too also is my name, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, good lord. Okay, we tried so hard to come up with an intro. That was the best we got.
That
YouTube
was
was
just an
ass.
entire last minute thing.
Yep, good lord. For as memorable as the lines are in Pulp Fiction, none of them make a good intro. They're all just kind of story. Most of it is in media res, if you're being honest. The only thing that really serves as an intro is the Christopher Walken bit in the movie.
Well, because
Anyway,
that was the intro to that segment, but we're getting ahead of ourselves.
yeah, all the Jules segments that just happened like in the middle of shit. Anyway, entertainment news. So there was a bit of a controversy with the Oscars. This happened after the Oscars, but apparently the winner of the best live action short was stolen from another creator.
What was the
Um,
winner?
I don't remember the name, but basically the premise is Groundhog's Day, but it's like a black dude trying to survive a police encounter. It was a bad short, honestly. The Oscars are so predictable when it comes to short films because it's always like the worst one for the live action short segment.
And that's a winner,
Um,
apparently.
yeah. Oh god, and it was so corny too. The dude's blood stain was in the shape of Africa. Like, oh my god, that's such a bad choice. It was a terrible short film. Anyway, it ripped off another short film which was also terrible, but this is an interesting controversy because people are like it's wrong that she got her movie stolen, but at the same time, she's not even black. It's an Asian woman that made it. So people are like, why did you make it in the first place? This is not your story to tell. So yeah, people are like, oh, profiting off of black trauma, but also it's plagiarism and it's kind of fucked up, scummy corporate stuff. It's also just a bad short film, both of them. So very interesting situation. Let's see. In more lighthearted news, Bill Gates got a divorce.
That's lighthearted.
That's
Well,
funny as
there's no
hell.
drama. There's no drama in the divorce,
Oh
from
yeah,
what
but
I've heard.
also everyone's just making fun of Bill Gates because Bill Gates sucks. Speaking of billionaires, Elon Musk hosted SNL. Did you guys watch it?
No, but I've
I
seen the
did not.
one thing all over Twitter.
I have seen two. I saw his monologue. I quit halfway through because it was so bad. I saw the Gen Z hospital sketch, which I quit halfway through because it was so bad. And then I saw the Wario sketch, which I quit halfway through because it was so bad.
Everyone
Running
just kept
pattern.
posting Elon Musk as Wario on Twitter. My entire feed was just full of that.
Yeah, and what's funny is that for someone that whose entire online persona is epic gamer Reddit man, it's very clear that Elon Musk has never played Mario in his life because he doesn't even come close to doing anything right in the realm of Mario. They gave Princess Peach an Italian accent, like whatever.
I haven't seen the
Um,
thing for myself, so I wouldn't know.
It's incredibly painful. Elon Musk has a very awkward stilted delivery, which I mean, I've seen Elon Musk on The Simpsons. Yes, I saw the Elon Musk Simpson episode once, and yeah, he was just as flat and monotone there too. I don't know why SNL hired him for the to host the show. Personally, if you're gonna hire any CEO, tech CEO, I would have chosen Bill Gates because he just got a divorce and it'd be very funny to see the richest man in the world have a breakdown on TV. God,
Again, there was no drama in the divorce.
I know,
So,
but well, I mean, there's probably a little bit of drama behind the scenes, but
from what I hear, him and his now ex-wife are perfectly fine.
yeah, yeah, that's what they always say, huh? Steven Spielberg and George Lucas is like, oh yeah, our divorces were perfectly fine, and then they made Temple of Doom. Like, I think they were a little bit affected by it. James Cameron, he got a divorce. He made True Lies, and you can tell that he was going through a divorce when you watch True Lies. Apparently, a new Spider-Man movie is actually coming out this year, which is fast considering the last MCU movie was Spider-Man.
Well, yeah, but before we get that, we get Black Widow.
Yeah, but like Black Widow's a prequel, so it doesn't even
Well,
like
There's just been a lot of Spider-Man
continuity-wise,
stuff
there hasn't
coming
even
out
been a
in
gap.
general.
Well,
Yeah.
the thing is, the MCU Spider-Man movies have come out every 2 years. Homecoming was 2017, Far From Home was 2019, and
The
now
thing
No
is
Way
that
Home.
the thing is though is that there were like 4 Marvel movies that were supposed to come out in 2020 that all got pushed. So I'm wondering is like, I find it very interesting like how the MCU is restructuring Phase 4 because like the entire planned order is skewed. Like, did you know WandaVision was meant to be like the third MCU TV show, not the first one? Like, I
Really?
find that interesting. Yeah. The only reason WandaVision got released first is because WandaVision was shot on like these studio sets, like because they shot it like how they shot sitcoms back in the day, and it's very easy to keep pandemic restrictions and masks and stuff in whatever set they had. So it was the only one that they didn't shut down filming for because it was the only one they could, keep. Anyway, in Star Wars news, the Bad Batch came out. It just started. I have not seen it, but from what I've heard, it's basically Clone Wars Season 8. So if you're a fan of Clone Wars, I don't know, check it out. I don't know this Jim Carrey one, so you're going to have to tell that story.
This was an addition by me. Jim Carrey gave a crew member of Sonic 2 a $40,000 car.
Oh, that's cool.
Just like
Just
that?
because yeah, well, it was a raffle from what I've read. It was a raffle, and
Ah,
I think it was just like an appreciation for like how well the crew has been to him.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's nice.
it's like further evidence that Jim Carrey is one of like the greatest people ever.
Yeah. So, first of all, what's everyone's here's experience with Tarantino?
Just Pulp Fiction.
This is the only Tarantino movie I've seen.
Okay, I've seen all of his movies. I'm not even kidding. The only one I haven't seen is Kill Bill Volume 2, but that's like part 2 of a 2-part movie. So like I basically saw all of his movies. All right, so this won the Palme d'Or, which is like I guess the best way to describe to you guys would be the International Oscars. It's an incredibly prestigious award in film. Very few Americans have even won the Palme d'Or. In fact, this one is really saying something. This is Tarantino's second directed film, but it's his third one written. He also wrote the movie True Romance, which was directed by Tony Scott. You may know Tony Scott for directing, Top Gun and shit like that.
What did he write
brother-
first? True Romance or Reservoir Dogs?
He wrote True Romance to fund Reservoir Dogs. I don't know which one he wrote, but he sold True Romance so he could get the money for Reservoir Dogs. But yeah, so Reservoir Dogs released in 92, True Romance released in 93, and this released in 94. So basically 3 years of Tarantino. It's kind of why, I guess that's why he, very quickly became this big established voice in the movie scene. And yeah, this is one of the most influential indie movies of all time. Lots of people say that once this movie dropped, it just completely changed the indie scene. Everyone wanted to be like Tarantino. You can even tell because like stuff like Train Spotting and Boondock Saints and Snatch, they're very clearly influenced by this. Who knows? All those directors made great stuff. So, well, not Boondock Saints. The guy only directed Boondock
Yeah, I
Saints,
can
but
definitely see the influence.
yeah, the other two. Yeah, this guy, he made a lot of people's careers in a way. And yeah, his style was very unique, very influenced on heavily influenced by dialogue with like quick bursts of intense violence, lots of out of order storytelling with maybe even short vignettes in the middle of it. Even like Reservoir Dogs, there's a little segment in the movie that's a complete little standalone bit almost. And last bit of trivia is that this is the first movie financed by Miramax after being bought by Disney. So this is technically a Disney movie.
Where's my Pulp Fiction ride at Disneyland?
Yeah. All those scenes with Bruce like driving the car, that could be a fun little ride.
Let's go to an IMAX theater. It's just being chased by Marcellus Wallace.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd love to see a restaurant at Disney based on the what was it, the Slim Chicken?
Jackrabbit
Pulp Fiction ride.
Slims.
The Pulp Fiction ride.
I don't know why I thought Slim Chicken. I'm sorry. I just pissed off some people. I know I did. I
Pulp
pissed off
Fiction
some
ride
Pulp
would be
Fiction
funny.
fans.
Pulp Fiction ride would be funny. You can sit down a little roller coaster and then a video shows up with Christopher Walken telling you, put your hands inside.
Yes, I would love that. Like a pre-ride video. I would love
Yeah.
that.
And then when the
Put your
ride starts,
hands on your head,
then when,
or your
then when the
head's gonna
ride,
be in your ass.
Keep your hands and legs inside of the vehicle at all times, and if you have stuff with you, I don't know, shove it up your butt.
then the ride starts, and you drive into, and it's like the Marcellus Wallace chase scene, and then like you end up inside this dungeon, and the man with the gimp comes out. It's like the Pirates of the Caribbean ride.
Okay, I think we've gone off on a tangent long enough. What about that plot?
Yeah. What about the plot? Okay, you can
Alright.
do this one, Lugia.
All right, Lugia, take it away.
Okay, I'll do the best I can. So the thing about this movie is that it's out of order. This isn't like Memento where there's a consistent pattern.
Basically, we follow 3 groups of characters. It opens and ends with this couple robbing a restaurant. Then we follow these 2 gangsters called Vincent and Jules. This one's a bit fractured because Vincent kind of goes on his own little thing too. Vincent is like has a arc that goes through a lot more of the movie, when Jules just kind of has like 2 segments really.
So after the initial restaurant scene, we're met with Vincent and Jules. They're just riding around in their car, tasked to eliminate some people who, I guess, fucked over Marcellus Wallace, who's their boss from a business deal. So they do that, and from what we see next, Vincent is supposed to go on a date with Wallace's wife because he was told to look out for her. So they have fun. They go to Jackrabbit Slim's, get to see Marilyn Monroe do the whole vent thing, and they do the twist. Afterwards, they go back home. Vincent's about ready to leave, but before he's able to tell Mia that he's gonna head out, jerk off, that's all he's gonna do, Mia ODs on heroin, and Vincent realizes, oh shit, if Mia's dead, then I'm dead too, because Wallace is gonna fucking kill me. He takes her to his drug dealer's house, who's named Lance, and he gives him an adrenaline shot straight to her heart, and miraculously she recovers. And Vincent's arc ends with her dropping Mia back off at her place, and they exchange one final conversation before we get to the next arc.
Now, technically, that's not the end of Vincent's arc, but we'll get to that right now.
No, it's the end of the chapter, pretty much.
It's end of his chapter, yes. So Butch's arc, takes place at the end chronologically. It starts with Christopher Walken playing the friend of his dad, basically giving a very long, incredibly funny monologue about how he got this watch. I just want to say, I knew almost all the other scenes in Pulp Fiction just through pop culture osmosis. I had no idea Butch's arc. So Butch's arc is honestly one of my favorites just because it was the only one I went in completely blind, not knowing anything about. So it was incredibly shocking, all the twists.
We'll get into the watch scene with our thoughts, but just know that it's good.
Yeah. So why don't you tell the rest of Butch's arc?
So after the Christopher Walken monologue, Butch wakes up in present day. He's a boxer. That's kind of all we get out of him from that beginning moment. We don't actually see him doing one of his boxing matches. It just kind of cuts to the aftermath where he kills his opponent, and Marcellus Wallace doesn't like that, so he's gonna kill him.
Yeah. Basically, it's sort of a play on the whole crime story where the boxer is supposed to throw a fight, and he doesn't throw the fight. That's basically the setup for Butch's story. And because he didn't throw the fight, Marcellus lost a lot of money.
So afterwards, the next day, Butch and his girlfriend, they were never clear on that.
I think
Fiance, that sounds about right. And I don't remember her name.
His lover. Just say his lover.
Butch and his girl, they're
too.
about to head for just anywhere out of town, pretty much. I think they listed a few locations, like Mexico.
Basically, Butch knows that he's dead, so they just come in a plan to leave town so Marcellus doesn't kill him. But then Butch realizes that they left their watch at their apartment, and so he goes back to get his watch, and this is the actual end of Vincent's arc, as it turns out Vincent was waiting in Butch's house to kill him, but because Butch was taking so long, he decided to take a shit, and when Vincent comes out of the bathroom, Butch just takes the shotgun and shoots him. Which
And
was
that is absolutely the last time we will see him in the entire movie. There's no way he's going to come back in any way.
Chronologically, yes.
Yeah,
chronologically,
yes, chronologically.
technically speaking, the Vincent Mia stuff we just mentioned actually takes place after this in the movie. But yeah.
So after that, Butch gets the watch, he heads out of his apartment, and he's just gonna head back home. You know, mission accomplished, until he sees Wallace walk across the street right in front of him, and that begins a brutal chase scene that ends at a pawn shop, where Butch and Wallace get apprehended by the pawn shop owner. I don't think we know his name, but he calls someone named Zed, who is just a fucked up cop. He's got like a gimp in his basement. I don't know. It was weird.
Yeah, some fetish shit.
Yeah, and Zed rapes Wallace. We don't see that, but it's definitely implied.
I watched this movie with my parents, by the way.
I watched it with my
How was
parents
that?
too.
So it was pretty awkward when that happened.
Basically, me and my dad were laughing our asses off while my mom was like, "What the hell is this? Why are you showing me this?" We didn't laugh at the rape part. We laughed at the whole gimp part.
Well, I hope you didn't laugh at the rape part.
Yeah, we did. Of course, we didn't laugh at that part.
Again, I said, well, I hope not.
Yeah, anyway, after Marcellus gets raped, Butch breaks free and he kills the vimp. He kills the gimp and the vendor with the fucking katana.
And he just happens to have in the pawn shop because, of course.
Yeah, and then he helps Marcellus and shoots Zed in the knees, and Wallace agrees that he's not going to kill Butch because he saves him. He just has to leave town and never tell anyone what happened.
That's pretty much it for Butch's arc. And again, this chronologically takes place at the end of the film because Vincent dies.
And then we got Jules' arc. So Jules' arc, same start as Vincent's arc, They pick up the dude, but then Vincent accidentally shoots one of the guys in the head in their car, and they got blood all over the car windows and seats and stuff. Also, the guy they shot is Phil Lamar, who you may know as the voice of like a billion cartoon characters.
Name
Really?
one.
God damn it, man! Samurai Jack.
All right.
Oh.
Also, like Hermes from Futurama. But yeah, Samurai Jack and Futurama. I don't know. Those are like my two favorite shows that he was in. Yeah, so they shoot Marvin in the face. So they bring him to this cleaner. They get out of their clothes. They just wear like their stupid little Shake Shack t-shirts while the car gets cleaned. Guy's called the Wolf, I think.
Yeah, Winston Wolfe.
Oh, yeah. Actually, wait. Before that, they go to their friend's place, Jimmy, who's played by Tarantino himself. Tarantino says the N-word a lot. He says that they have to get rid of the body because his wife Bonnie, who is implied to be Marcellus's like sister or something, is his wife. So I don't know.
And we never see Bonnie, by the way.
Yeah.
No, we do. We don't see her face.
Yeah, she's I think she's a nurse or something.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, so the wolf. Yeah, so at the junkyard, they clean it, and then Jules and Vincent stop at the diner, the one from the beginning, and basically Jules scares the shit out of the robbers and basically kicks them out. Also, Jules's arc is basically he's going through this whole like religious thing throughout the thing. He's assigned to quit crime. This also coincides with Vincent's arc, so Jules basically gets out while he's ahead. Vincent doesn't, and because of that, Vincent dies. Also, Jules quotes the Bible a couple times when he does that to scare the shit out of people. I am the Lord when I seek my vengeance upon you. It's one of the more iconic parts of Pulp Fiction. They then leave the diner, and that's how the movie ends. And tiny little bit of trivia here is that Vincent Vega is actually the brother of Mr. Blonde from Reservoir Dogs, whose character's name is Vic Vega. Tarantino was actually planning on making like a movie starring the two brothers, like a buddy cop movie, but the actors got too old for it. So
Tarantino extended universe.
Yep. Actually, speaking of extended universe, his movies do take place in a universe. And like, he has like this thing called like Big Kahuna Burger. It's like a brand he has in like all of his movies, or at least a couple of his movies. I think it's in Jackie Brown and Kill Bill too.
Okay.
So yeah, Tarantino is technically a cinematic universe, just like Kevin Smith's Ask Universe or whatever.
All right, we've pretty much covered the facts so far. Let's talk about our opinions.
We all liked it, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Why don't you start off, Patrick, because you didn't you talked less compared to us.
All right. Well, this is the first time I've seen this movie. I've definitely heard a lot about Pulp Fiction throughout the years. Never actually watched it though. I have no excuse for that. But I remember I took a writing class in, I think, my first year at community college, and we were talking about narrative writing, and our teacher brought up this movie as an example of basically ignoring all the rules. He mainly brought up the fact that John Travolta's character dies in the middle, and then later on he's perfectly fine.
What is
I
this
just, I just,
resurrection shit? You don't write a movie like this.
I think that was cool how that was brought up in like a writing class. But
Yeah.
having never actually seen this movie before and finally getting a chance to see it, I thought it was really cool seeing like so many scenes that I had seen parodied before in their original version. Like for example, the whole watch scene, I remember there was an episode of Gumball that started off with a parody of that. And I'm
Oh,
like,
which
"Oh,
episode was
that's where
that?
that came from." That was an episode called The Watch.
Hmm.
Fuck, what season?
Season 2. It's the episode where Gumball and Darwin are given a watch by Richard that it's apparently a family heirloom, but they don't want it.
Hmm.
And they give it to an old man.
I vaguely remember that.
I'm sure you'd remember it if you saw it, but when that scene started, I'm like, oh, that's what that was a reference to. But yeah, I really enjoyed this movie.
Yeah, I'm gonna say I had a similar experience with and pop culture stuff. Although interestingly enough, I don't think I saw that Gumball episode until after I saw this movie because the watch thing I went in completely blind for that and Bruce Willis's stuff. So yeah, I had no idea what was gonna happen for that, and that's why it's one of my favorite parts of the movie is that whole boxer storyline. The characters I think is probably the strongest part of this movie.
Oh, definitely. The
Yep.
performances are all top notch.
Performances and like, but all the characters are all like complexly written. It's like you can tell that they're. It feels like there's like some grander universe or something, and he just took like
Just a
the
chunk of it.
yeah, like these are all characters from existing stories. It feels.
Yeah, like one of the most impressive things I found about this movie is that most of the time the characters aren't really talking about anything significant, but it's
Yeah.
still engaging.
Yeah, it's like the most entertaining shit, and it has almost nothing to do with the plot.
Like
I
the
know-
beginning of the like at the beginning of the movie, they're just talking about hamburgers, and I'm completely invested in it.
And I feel like one of the big reasons why that is because the chemistry between the characters and the actors themselves is just so good. Like John
I wanna say,
Travolta
um,
and Samuel L. Jackson just bounce off each other so well.
So the movie's called Pulp Fiction, which is like a reference to cheap comic books and cheap like little novels that they used to make back in the day. Lots of them had like crime noir stuff. I found like the fact that it was a bunch of stories that with loose ties together felt like just getting a bunch of random comic books and just reading through them and they're all like tell like their own little separate stories, but you can see a couple of random connections and stuff. So I thought that was pretty cool. I feel like Tarantino's movies have like a comic book movie aspect to them that but like he always seems to adapt like not superhero comics, like every other type of comic book except superhero stuff. One thing I felt is that because you know how I mentioned how it felt like they're all taken from different movies. Tarantino apparently said that his idea for writing all these stories was that he wanted to either tell the parts of like crime stories you never see, so like the criminals actually having to like clean up the job or like them just talking about their lives and stuff, clean up their car, and he also wanted to take like the typical setups of crime stories and put a twist on them. Like with the boxing thing, the boxer that threw the match, that's supposed to throw the match, that didn't throw the match, that has to run away from town. That's a classic story. You see it all the time. It's technically the origin story of like Daredevil. Like that's how his dad died or whatever. Yeah, that's a very common trope, but he decided to put a twist on it by having it just go completely out of left field. So I feel like one day I'm just gonna watch a bunch of old noir movies and then like I'm gonna be like, oh, this is what Pulp Fiction was like, almost like parroting or like making fun of or
Yeah.
putting a twist on. What about you, Lugia?
We all agree that the soundtrack is great, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. The opening little track, Miserlou, was iconic for a reason.
What was the song that played when Vincent was driving over to Mia's house for the first time?
I don't remember.
I don't remember either.
Yeah, but the point is like lots of good. It's a good soundtrack. Like it's one of those movies where like the soundtrack is made up of pre-existing songs, but they're all good choices of pre-existing songs.
A part of me wants to buy the soundtrack, like off iTunes or something.
Yeah,
You
same
probably
here.
can.
Speaking of amazing
But, you know,
presentation, the
funds
set
are low,
design.
so I can't. Oh yeah,
Yeah, especially that what's it called? A Jack Rabbit's Bar or whatever.
Jackrabbit
Jackrabbit
Slims.
Slim.
I
Yeah,
really want to find a diner that's just like that.
I think
Then-
that set was actually made for the movie. It doesn't exist. So that's a shame.
Yeah.
I've been in a diner before that had like cars as the booths where you sit, but I nothing as extreme as what the movie presented.
I
I
know it was just-
want that to be a thing.
Yeah, it was meant to be like a '50s diner. That's all I know.
Yeah.
Why do you have Tommy Wiseau in capital letters here? Are you saying that Tommy Wiseau was trying to make a Tarantino movie? Well, yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Because a lot of Tarantino movies, they all take place in like just a few rooms. There's mostly characters talking. That is just like The Room.
Yeah, and like you said before, this movie kind of takes like a whole, like all these characters with like deep, complex stories and only using a chunk of it, which is
Yeah.
what Tommy Wiseau also tried doing with The Room. But it just fell flat in that movie because none of the characters were developed.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So take fucking notes, Tommy Wiseau. This is how you do it. Not
Wow.
breast cancer and never talk about it again.
That's just a twist for the sake of it being a twist. Doesn't make
So,
it interesting. It just makes it a twist.
all the
that just
twists in this
happened.
movie, all the twists in this movie led to like a change in the plot. Like
Yeah,
the
they
twist-
have
Yeah.
significance.
They have
Yeah.
weight. Shit happens.
A twist needs significance in order for it to have impact.
So one thing I found interesting about the writing is that I find it almost kind of interesting and paradoxical how Tarantino in all of his movies, the black character is usually the smartest, best written character in the movie, but he also just has to have the N word said so many times.
It also
Every
got to a
scene-
point where
every s-
Tarantino literally said the N-word right in front of him.
Every
4
scene with Jules and
times.
Vincent, there's like one curse word every 5 seconds. You could make a drinking game out of it. I wouldn't recommend doing that, but you could.
Like, this is some gourmet shit.
Yeah. This is where the stereotype of Samuel L. Jackson saying motherfucker a lot came from. Pretty sure motherfucker was even like engraved on his wallet.
Yes,
Yeah, it
I remember
was.
I saw that in the movie, and I'm like, I want to meet somebody who has that wallet.
In terms of direction, I felt visually it looked really, really great, except the first scene. I felt like that first scene where Vincent and Jules were like walking through that room. It looked like a little bit cheap. Like I could tell it was a bit low budget, just like with the plain white walls and like you could see the bit of a camera shake.
There was a scene
also-
I noticed that looked pretty low budget, and it was the car scene with Butch and Esmeralda.
But that one was intentionally that scene was intentionally low budget. So I think that one I'm cool with because like he was trying to make it look goofy. Like the stuff with that opening scene, I don't think it was supposed to look low budget. I think you can even notice like there's already a hole in the wall before.
Yeah, I noticed that. That was on the very shot right before the Jerry Seinfeld lookalike started barging out and shooting at them.
You guys haven't seen other Tarantino movies, but I notice like the way Tarantino does action is that it's like he just like likes to really like build up like the tension and then it just releases with like just a bunch of gunfire. It's not really like super choreographed action. It's more of just like a bunch of bursts of violence at once.
Yeah, and it's not a lot of action. They're just
Mhm.
brief moments.
Well, guys, going back for a second, you brought up minor criticisms regarding some of the cinematography.
Yeah.
I have my one criticism with the movie is that while a lot of the scenes are just extended conversations talking about nothing, it didn't really bother me because the characters and the performances were so good. The one scene I did feel went on a bit too long was the beginning of Butch's story. I feel like everything like between the opening with Christopher Walken up to him realizing that his girl forgot the watch, I feel like that went on just a bit too long.
I thought you
I
were
can see.
talking about like the bar part where Marcellus Wallace was just talking with Butch. Because I will
Well,
agree that part does drag on for a little long.
yeah, that didn't really bother me too much.
That reminds me. Any of you guys see the deleted scene?
No, I didn't have
deleted
time,
scene?
unfortunately.
There's a deleted scene with Wolf where he's like, and that Tarantino basically cut out for pacing, but it's still very good. But yeah, Wolf has an extended sort of scene. I don't know, it's just more dialogue stuff. Pretty cool.
Other than that, I noticed
Oh,
one part when
yeah,
Wallace was cocking the shotgun. You could see the footage slowed down a little bit to match with the sound of the shotgun. I felt like they could have had it to where they sped up the sound of the shotgun instead of slowing down the footage.
yeah.
That would make more sense. Other than that, yeah, this movie's pretty well made.
Now, one thing I want to highlight is the costumes. I feel like all the characters' costumes are iconic. Like if you saw someone dressed up in how they were, you would instantly recognize them. You know, even just
Yeah.
like the black suits, like he was able to make it look. You see a dude with the black suit and long hair, you know, like the black suit and like the handlebar mustache and the afro. You instantly know, that's Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, like I've seen the black suits and everything in like so many movies and TV shows referenced.
Yeah, and like
It's
even
so
Mia.
simple but so iconic.
Yeah, I think like the hair adds a lot because like even Mia,
Yeah.
she's really just wearing like a pretty simple, you know, dress shirt, dress pants, untucked, and with like a bob haircut or whatever, not bob, whatever, bangs.
Yeah,
or
bob
whatever.
haircut. I find it interesting though that
no
Mia
shoes.
is the only character on the poster, yet she's only in like that one segment of the movie.
Yeah, she's only in
Yeah,
the first part.
Yeah, and there's no other characters shown on the poster. It's just her.
yeah, that's how a lot of old noir and pulp covers used to be. So I think you just want to, you know,
I didn't know that.
emulate that. Overall, I think that this is the best movie we saw on the podcast.
I agree. I feel like it's slightly more enjoyable than Memento, but they're both excellent films. I think this just beats it out a little bit more.
Yep,
I would have to agree with that.
this is my second 10 out of 10.
I don't know what other movies I gave a 10 out of 10 except Memento, but yeah, this is going to get a 10 out of 10 from me too.
For me, this gets like a 4 out of 5, maybe a 4.5, but I do know this is definitely among the top half of movies we've seen.
How would you rank it compared to the last two movies we saw on the podcast?
It's obviously going
yeah.
to top for Revengeance.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
so I was gonna top Furry Vengeance and The Wall. All right.
Yeah, I'd say it's at the top.
All right, so let's just briefly go through the cast. Samuel L. Jackson played Jules. John Travolta played Vincent. Uma Thurman played
Mia.
Mia. Sam is in every Tarantino movie, and Uma is in Kill Bill and a few others, I think.
I'm just going to say this right now. Samuel L. Jackson was the best actor in the film.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
he was. Then you got Bruce Willis, and this was during the 90s, and Bruce Willis was a god. So he did a great job. I really love 90s Bruce Willis. He kind of fell off, let's say mid 2000s. But yeah.
Yeah, I
got
can agree
Harvey
with
Keitel.
that.
Something like that.
You got Tim Roth, who he's actually best known for he showed up in Reservoir Dogs and Hateful Eight, which are other Tarantino movies, so he's another frequent collaborator. He is also Abomination in the MCU, which I figured I'd mention just because Samuel L. Jackson's also in the MCU. Then you got Amanda Plummer, and actually, did we mention Amanda Plummer's character?
I don't think so. What characters did she play?
I think she played Wolf's girlfriend.
Yeah, she
or
was in like
Wolf's- whatever
1 minute scene.
Yeah, she was oh no, that was Tim Roth's partner. Because remember, as a couple, the crime couple. Yeah, Amanda Plummer was
right,
Tim Roth's
at the
partner.
diner.
Yeah, my bad. Then you got Maria, some French girl who's Bruce Willis's fiance, I think. Then Ving Rhames, he's a great actor too. Speaking of Marvel, he played, I think, Kingpin in the Ben Affleck Daredevil movie. He played Marcellus Wallace. And yeah, Phil Lamar, I mentioned that before. All right. If you like this movie,
Wait. You forgot Steve Buscemi.
And Christopher Walken.
Steve Buscemi was the waiter.
All right, yeah. I mean, I don't want to mention minor cameo stuff, and we already mentioned Christopher Walken quite a bit.
But Steve Buscemi, come on.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, Steve Buscemi is also a frequent collaborator for Tarantino, I guess. He was in Reservoir Dogs. I don't know, something else probably. If you like this movie, some movies you should check out is Snatch and Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. They're kind of like this movie on crack. It's a bunch of intertwining stories. I guess it's a bit more like Burn After Reading with like how the intertwining stories are because it's in chronological order, but still got an intertwining story type thing, you know. I would especially recommend Sin City. I'd say Sin City is one that's closest to this. It's also got a very comic book style, but much more drenched in noir, and it's also a direct adaptation of a comic book. It's also got the thing with three main stories that we cut in between, so it's got a similar structure. Tarantino also directed one scene in Sin City, so there's that. Then there's Boondock Saints, which is I guess if you really like Jules and Vincent, you'd probably like Boondock Saints because it's about a duo with similar crazy Tarantino energy. Then there's Train Spotting, Seven Psychopaths I'd especially recommend. Bunch of seven sort of standalone stories, kind of intertwined. Christopher Walken's in it too. And if I'm gonna recommend any other Tarantino movie, it'd probably be Inglourious Bastards because it's got a similar structure, and Jackie Brown because it's got a similar crime vibe, and maybe True Romance. Then there's Goodfellas, Wolf of Wall Street. I feel like those got the sort of comedic crime angle that this does. And yeah, I'd say those are all the similar movies that if you like Pulp Fiction, you'll definitely like those. Patrick, I think it's your turn to recommend.
Yep, it is. Okay, so I know that we said Pulp Fiction was released under Miramax, which at the time was a division of Disney. So you can technically argue Pulp Fiction is a Disney movie.
Yeah.
But I think it's time that we talk about our first official Disney movie, as in a movie released under Walt Disney Pictures.
This can go one
Cool.
of many different ways.
Indeed, it can.
David Lynch made a Disney movie released under the Walt Disney label. Just crazy.
All right. Well, you guys may be surprised to know that my recommendation is actually not an animated film. All right, so my recommendation is a movie based on a book that I guarantee you guys
Matilda.
have heard of and potentially even read.
Matilda.
That's not Disney. As for my
Not?
experience, no, it's not. As for my experience, it has been years since I've read the book, longer since I've seen the movie, and I remember almost nothing about either version.
All right.
Is it what I'm thinking?
So, for next week,
Bridge to Terabithia?
for next week, we'll be talking about the 2003 Disney film Holes.
Oh, I love Holes.
Oh!
Yeah.
I've seen
I
that
saw
before, but that was a
rewatch.
long time ago.
Same here. I think I saw that when I was like it was
Yeah.
like 15 years ago since I've seen it. I remember we read the book in like 3rd grade.
I never read the book, but I did see the movie.
I remember I rewatched the movie like, I don't know, maybe a year or two ago. I'd say it's like our generation's Stand By Me, if that makes sense. Yeah, no,
I
a
don't know,
great movie.
but- Yeah, so
Yeah.
Holes. So yeah, I'm pretty excited for this one. I don't really know what I remember like one scene from this movie, but it might be from another movie. I might be misremembering. I don't know.
Yeah, well,
You'll just have to watch and find out.
Yeah, so I'm not gonna say what the scene is yet.
Holes is a pretty great movie.
All right, so
Kate Barlow.
tune
All
in
right.
next week for when we talk about Holes.
Yeah, it's an incredibly accurate adaptation. I do remember that.
All right,
What's
Luvia,
a
you
Pulp
want to
Fiction
sign us
thing we
off?
can use for an outro?
How did the movie end? What was the last line in the movie?
I don't know. I think they said they were just gonna get out of there.
You want to get out of here? You
I
guys
don't
want to
remember
get
the
out of
line specifically.
here? Do you guys want to get out of here?
Sure.
I see ya.